Hello, hello. Good, test. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started whenever you're make your way up here. Address? There it is. I didn't want to hit the table and crack it. Come on, I know you guys want to hear me talk. This is like bonus talking today. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming today. We have I want to share some updates and some information. I want to try to help really just get everyone on the same page. I know it's kind of tough to do that sometimes. Then we're going to have a financial report from Dennis Wilhelm, and then we'll have some time for discussion after that. And so actually I wrote out a lot of the stuff and some of the questions that I've heard. So I just want to share this for now, and then we'll keep going. So over the last year, we have made some pretty big changes, changes that we believe needed to happen, but the truth is some of the changes have been sped up over the last couple of years, really, with some of the changes that were put on us through COVID, and I don't just mean like mandates or things, but lack of people, lack of volunteers, changes in how we could do things. Some of the changes it's like, okay, we're going to do this anyway. We probably wouldn't do it over the next couple of years, but then things changed. So we were in a way kind of almost forced to move in the direction we were wanting to move anyway. But we wanted to make them for the sake of unity and church health. And I'm going to talk about that quite a bit here. So first we went to a unified service. And we intentionally used the word unified because it's not blended. If we said blended, then we thought, it might come across as it's going to be half traditional and half contemporary. That's not what unified is. It just means that the services match. And so some Sundays we might have more traditional than contemporary. Some Sundays we might have more contemporary. Maybe one Sunday you'll come in and we'll have cowboy church. I don't know. I don't think that'll happen. We'll vote on that. But anyway, unified just means that the services match. We could continue to offer different styles of worship, but I believe it's been the largest component of division in the church for a long time. And it felt like now was as good as time as any to get rid of this division. And so what we did, we decided to move to one location. Now, just going to spell this out a little bit. When we first talked about having one location, this was years ago. We actually started the conversations with Mark and Garrett, and then some things changed, and then we stopped them, and then we came back to them. My preference was to be in here all the time, and then we met with the consultant, and the consultant said, that's not a good idea. You've got another building that if you want to make a community center or a youth building, you're going to have to, he said, our starting price for what you want to do is $500,000. It's like, well, we don't really want to do that again. And so after we needed to invest in the older building to keep it more up to date, it's a much better design for worship. The Family Life Center then can be used for kids programming on Sunday mornings and is a much better building for community use during the week. And so one question that I've been asked multiple times is, why are we having both services in the Family Life Center now? Well, since we unified the services and that the music's identical, it made little sense to move the instruments and the computers, the streaming, everything back and forth on a Sunday morning. We were asking our volunteers to get here early to set things up. We were having people during the services move stuff over, and so we needed to move partially for the sake of the volunteers, and we also thought that it was part of unity, worshiping in the same location. And so we could have chosen to stay over there with both services, but then what we would have had to do is move both over, and then when we start construction, that's the issue. Why are we doing it before construction? Well, then when we started that, we would have had to make another move back over here, and then when it was finished, we'd make another move. So we really just cut out one change. It seems like we've had enough changes, and we thought we don't really want to keep making more and more moves every 6 months. It's just confusing and not fun for anyone. We didn't think it would take over 2 months to get our first bid, but it did, and we actually have an estimate now. But the contractors are short-staffed and overwhelmed, just like everywhere else. I'm going to talk more about the building stuff in a little bit of what we're looking at, but I want to talk more about the why for a little bit. It may not seem like a big deal, but we just believe that this unified service was the biggest change needed. The leadership would like to get through this, and hopefully we never have to have an argument of, how do we please this service and not this one, or who do we hire that's going to do this service but not the other service, because that was the case just a couple of years ago, where we were paying a worship minister for second service and didn't pay someone for first service, and so we were just trying to move past that. I can't predict the future. I don't know what church attendance will look like in a year or 3 years or 10 years. We can grow, but it doesn't feel like we're going to have 100 people come back on any given Sunday. I don't think it's just going to be like, hey, COVID's over, and now we got 100 people back. It doesn't seem realistic. But we might be a church, or so we have to make decisions both for now, for today, as well as for the future, and setting the church up. How would the church be in 2 years? Will we have 2 services, or 1 service, or 3 services? Will online church be bigger than than the people, or a higher attended than the people in the building in 20 years? We just don't know that. But some of the short term things that we see would be, how do we make changes now that I don't want to even look past really 3 to 5 years. Actually, I keep getting ahead of myself. I have some notes on this later. I'll come back to that. But we keep asking, how can we continue to worship in a healthy way with who we are and who we have now? And also, how can we be a church that's healthy for years to come? And it is a tough balance. And so we have to personally ask ourselves, what's the point of church? That should go a long way in answering the why. Because every decision that we make, every change we make, it's not so much who are we going to keep happy or upset. It's how can we be a healthy church, a unified church, and how can we best set ourselves up to continue to reach the lost, not just now, but for years to come. I just see too many churches shrinking and dying and closing. Both locally. Look around town how churches were 20 and 30 years ago, 50 years ago, and if we don't make changes, I just feel like we could be in the same boat. And so that's the why. Now what? What are we looking at? We're looking at moving the worship services to the sanctuary. This isn't new, but I just feel like it needs to be communicated again and again. And then have the kids and the community and the programs more in the Family Life Center. And so we have a set amount of money, about $150,000 that we can invest into the church building without taking out loans. That's money that was given through the building fund and through other funds as well, that we don't have to say, hey, we're gonna take out a loan or raise more money. That's what we have on hand right now. And so there's been no decision so far, and a lot of people are asking. I know it's taken time, but when we get closer to it, which we are, and I'm going to talk about where we're at so far, we'll communicate that during worship services, because I know more people attend those, and we'll send out letters and put it on the website and really try to keep it out there. But what we've looked at tentatively, the office wing in the other building, there's offices on the right as well as Collins, and then the women's Sunday school class is that other room there. We're looking at opening up the left side, so where the women's class is, as well as Collins' office, tearing the wall out, opening it up, and putting having our fellowship time over there. Because if we have our service over there and we had fellowship time over here, then we would say, all right, everyone walk over to the other building, and now, okay, you're done. Now we'll come back to Sunday school, because most of the adult classes would likely still be in that building. The kids would be in this building. And so we needed to have that area for fellowship. Uh, and then let's see here, update the offices just so everything's kind of updated at the same time. This again is from the consultant that we would keep the building in shape. If you put all the money in one building and let the other one fall apart, then you just have a really bad building in years to come. We're looking at the bathrooms. There's a big situation over there. We haven't made this final decision, but we're looking at putting new bathrooms in and or updating the current bathrooms. But the best option that we see right now is where the giant room that's used as a cry room at the back of the sanctuary. So you walk in the front doors and walk up the stairs and look straight ahead. That seems like an ideal place for bathrooms, both because it's near those doors as well as near the pretty close to the doors when you come in the office wing or the other entrance. You won't be able to see them, but you'll be much closer to them, as well as during the service, instead of having to walk out the front door, like to the upper right, and everyone watches who's going out the door and coming back and how long they were in the bathroom, stuff like that. Did they take a phone call or what's going on? Anyway, we're looking at the bathrooms back there as well, as could we possibly update the current bathrooms. We're looking at the sanctuary. It is a worship space. It would not be ideal for a youth building with the stained glass windows or community. We'd have to either update the kitchen and put an elevator in, or if we were going to move everything over there, the community would have worship over here. And so we're looking, if we keep the kitchen, we've got the space for a community, and so let's just worship over there. We could leave the stained glass windows. That, again, this is tentatively right now. Everything I say is still. We started out with Kevin Letterly's an elder and the head of the team, the building team. The building team has just been given a little information just because he got the estimate this week, and so he's going to meet with the building team to talk through aesthetics and some of the planning, see who would possibly look at other churches' ideas, and kind of so none of this is completely set. This is just where we are right now. Where else? The sanctuary, stained glass windows. It looks like if we tried to remove the Oregon, which we wouldn't do, that would be all of our money because it costs so much to tear everything out there. New lighting, new carpet, and the plan is, again, right now, is to get rid of the pews and to move these chairs over there. I know that's why no pews. Right now, if you try to walk into those rows, there's 14 inches from the front of the pew to the back of the next one. That's how much space we have. I would say comfort, but I know not everyone might not agree with that. So, but as far as the spacing, this allows us to have more space between the rows for different reasons. A young mom comes in with or dad carrying a car seat. Try walking through a 14-inch space, holding one kid's hand and having a car seat. We can space it out a little bit more. As far as handicap accessibility, we can move chairs. If we have another COVID outbreak, or if there's a new virus that starts in a couple of years, that would be fun, wouldn't it? We could spread out the rows, kind of like how we have now. Even small things like changing lights. I don't know if you've seen someone change a light bulb in the sanctuary. We put a table. I've seen people put tables across the pews and then a ladder on top of the table. Yeah, we could just move the chairs and use a taller ladder. Just the stuff like that. Coming in with walkers, you don't have to leave it at the end of the row. Just seems to allow for more flexibility. We want it to feel like church, but we want it to be very welcoming and open. When I came as an associate, and Mark was the lead minister still, I wanted to focus first on internal structures, and that would be like staffing, how we run things, the policies, ministry teams, and then focus on the external. And that was cut short. Mark sped up the transition a little bit, And then as an associate, Colin came in, and he was going to focus on special events and service projects. We're doing some of that, but then with COVID, a lot of our stuff has been internal. A lot of it's been online. And so the vision is actually of being united so we can reach the lost and make a difference in the community. It feels like sometimes that gets put on the back burner. We're trying to do both. I wish we could just fix the internal in a year, and then for the next 20 years, we just focus on reaching the lost. I know that the truth is we'll have to probably continue to make changes because we need the circumstances around us change. But anyway, some of the other things that have happened over the last year, I think our online worship service is a lot better. Fewer people are watching because you're back in the building. That's wonderful. The prayer ministry is going pretty strong. You'll hear an announcement if you're in second service, or you heard it already. There's a prayer gathering this week, this coming weekend. Some of the small groups have restarted and picked back up. Through the care ministry, we had a coat drive. We've started communion takeout again. The seniors ministry started through that. Financial Peace University is restarting. They've Matt and was Michelle both, but Matt and now Nella Kirk, she came through our care ministry to join that. They're writing letters to people, making more phone calls. Hospital visits, they don't happen as often because COVID restrictions. And there are actually people who are available to drive others to appointments as needed. Someone just this week asked, and I said, hey, actually, we have 3 people on our care ministry that said they would drive. I can put you into contact. That might happen that next week then. I have to hear back. Children and youth programs, they had to pause for a while, and now they seem to be going strong again. Some things are very positive. You're going to hear about our finances in just a minute. But with lower attendance, the biggest issue we've had, or the biggest challenge, is the loss of volunteers. Most needs are shared through the communication card, and the same people are signing up in multiple areas. And I don't like to bring it up. I don't want people. I don't want to talk about it all the time because people feel guilty, and then it doesn't seem to change anything. If it's on the communication card, it's a need. And the truth is, we get people that sign up every week, but it's the same people that sign up for they take on 2 areas. They're teaching, and then they're helping with chairs, and then they're helping with fellowship time, and they say, well, I want to be, I'll help greet too. I know you have a need there, but I need to stop doing something. And so that's really been the biggest challenge by far. And then I don't know if you got it's actually up on these tables. It's our congregational update. Just has a few things, as well as the financial report. If you didn't get one of those, you might want that, because Dennis is coming up right after this sheet here. You'll notice we have 5 elders: Kevin Letterly, Ryan Mott, Myron Aish, Rob Powell, and Kevin Rossborough. 3 trustees: Greg Moss, Mike McCubb, and Dennis Wilhelm. You can see the staff. I guess I don't need to read all of this. You can read it. You can see the staff, the ministry leaders, the missions supported by Mount Pulaski Christian Church, and the baptisms last year. And you can see there's 8 people there who were baptized this last year. As far as the elders, all 5 are staying on. Michael Copley stepped down last year. And right now, the selection time does not have any candidates for potential leaders to be affirmed this year. Let's see here. All right, I'm going to take a break. Come on up, Dennis. You give them the fun stuff. This is what the people came for.
I'm actually going to be over here. It's not on. Can you hear me? Well, good morning, everybody. I am going to go ahead and give you a little bit of an update from our 2021 and give you a little bit of insight into the 2022 budget. I'm going to first start with our 2021 information. It's going to have information as far as our full budget, our income, our expenses. I will then move in a little bit to the comparison of each of those areas into the 2022, And then I'm going to give a little bit of insight to trends that I've been seeing in finances and some of the other information. So to start with, we'll go ahead, and the information is, hopefully you've got everything in front of you there. There we go. As you know, 20 and 2021 has both been extremely difficult years as far as many areas of different things that have been going on. The finances have definitely changed over the years, but I still want to give you a little bit of an update on some of the information, because if you look at this particular slide, you can see that the actual budget and the expenses, the teams have done a remarkable job, and not just the teams, but also the staff, at keeping our expenses down. They've been able and they've been willing to adjust the spending, knowing how much income we were coming in. So this is actually the best of both situations. If you look at the budget and expenses, we were actually $50,000 to the positive on that. But what is even better than that, when you compare the income coming in of the $445,486, it actually is more than what we expensed out as well. So anytime you can spend less than the budget and have income coming in more than the expenses, it's the best of both worlds. So we were actually very good with our budget. We were a little over 10, I think it was 10.87% under budget, but our income was actually at 5% more than what we expensed out. So we did relatively well this last year, and actually with the income, as income has been dropping, it's actually a good thing, as the teams have done a remarkable job with that. Okay, here's a breakdown of the actual income areas, and just want to highlight the two main areas that you see up there that are highlighted in orange. The rest of the information is in there that you can look at on your own. We have income coming in from several sources, but the main source of income coming in is always from our general offering, showing at $385,481. That actually is right at 86.5% of total income coming in. The others obviously are going to be bringing up the end of the total amount of income we have coming in. The second most largest income source is coming from our special projects. We formerly had our building fund. We transitioned out of that going into the special projects. We don't have near as many families that are supporting the special projects fund, but the special projects fund is the area in which we're going to be doing the things we're going to be doing, like over in the building in the next several weeks or months, where we need upgrades all the time. These upgrades will be paid for from a special projects area as well as some of the other funds. So with that, the special projects fund is definitely a much needed category, and I encourage people to consider giving to that fund, because it is necessary for us to be able to do the things we need to do to continue to upgrade the things that we need to stay abreast of our of changes within the world as well, of things we need. The next slide that we have here is our expenses. The expense area is, again, it was very positive because we were actually $50,000 under the budget. So again, I attribute this to the teams. They really watch this, and we send out, the finance team sends out every month, to every one of these ministry teams, the variances of where they're at, how things are looking for their particular areas. If they have questions, they can always get back to us each month. So we stay very close in hand with them. Fortunately, they've done a very good job, obviously, because we were very much under budget. The highest expensed area this year, again, is benefits and staff for the housing, and the benefits includes retirement, it includes the housing allowances. And again, those housing allowances are things that they choose to do. It's part of their regular salary, and they can divert some of that to help them with taxes. So it is a definite benefit for them. The benefits and the salaries they equate to about 55% of our total budget. And that's pretty normal. Some churches are a little bit higher, just a little bit higher. Many churches a little bit lower, but so we're right in the middle of them. The next area is our facilities area. They expensed out $54,598. Very unusual year for the facilities team. They normally do not spend that much money. This year was a very difficult year from the standpoint of our some of the units, some of our air conditioning units were broken down. We have to repair them. In this case, they were so old they couldn't be repaired. The best dollar spent was just to replace them totally. We had 2 units in the other building, and unfortunately, controlling the main sanctuary with those 2 units side by side with each other in the second story, the back unit was the one that was going, and if you took the front one, you had to take the front unit out to get to the back unit. Well, when they got into the front unit taking out, it was very short, going to have a very short time life. So we decided to change both of those, and then we had 1 unit here as well. So that breakdown for the facilities was about a 12.87% of the main budget. They really do not spend that kind of funds on an annual basis, and we've got the budget shortened a little bit for this next year. Okay, next area should be the missions area. We actually support 12 of the missions areas. Those missions that you see up there that are in white, those missions we support on a monthly basis. So each month we continually give to them. The 2 other areas is the campers fees and the scholarships area. Those are occasional areas in which we give to. Those areas actually, if you look at it realistically with the scholarships, that's for our students that are going to Christian colleges. That is an area I wish we actually had more students going. We could invest more in our students going to the Christian colleges. Okay, moving on. This is where we bring in the 22 budget. Hopefully, there we go. We look at the 2021 first 3 slides. It's the actual budget, expenses, and income. Then you see this very large vertical column in column 4. Well, don't be excited about that. It is a very large increase. But Casey somewhat mentioned about that, about some of the funds that we're going to be using. Those are from our on-hand funds that we're going to be paying much of those. It's not going to be coming in from our normal offering. The normal expenditures that we would normally do from year to year will be covered and is projected to be covered through our normal annual offerings coming from everybody. That will take care of our normal expenses. The 22 budget is very high. In fact, it is, if you look at it, it's $153,000 higher than the budget from 2021. When you compare the actual income we took in from 2021 is $445,000, compare that to this 22 budget, it's even a larger amount. It's $183,000 increase. So yes, it's a very large budget in comparison to where we were in 2021. However, those funds will be coming out of our special projects area, and that fund will very closely be depleted. We will take a large amount out of the general fund, and we'll always have enough in that. We will never go down below a 6-month need for that, so we'll take what we need from that area. We also have our savings account that we'll be able to pull from. That savings account is an account that most of you do not know. It is something that we actually have funds coming into on a quarterly basis. It is coming from trusts that have been given to us. It comes to us on a quarterly basis. Every year we take in a little over $6,000 from that. And so that fund has been sitting there idle for several years. There's no reason to have that money continue to sit there. So we're going to go ahead and pull some of those funds, if not all of them, and it'll also go to the building. Now, Casey had mentioned that we have $150,000 slated for that. I made it very clear to the elders when we had several of these meetings over this last year that we can give and take in some of those amounts. So we will be looking at those funds as those funds are depleted with the renovation. If we see that our normal giving in 2022 is decreasing, we're going to be pulling back the reins. So we may not get all those things done. So we work very closely with the eldership, and we will also work very closely with the building team so that they know where we're at constantly with this. We'll never let those funds from our on-hand funds be depleted. We will get them close to where we need, and then hopefully it'll be enough that they'll be able to complete all the changes that they're wanting to make. Okay? Okay, here is a comparison by each ministry team from the 2020 area to the 22 area. As you see, many of those are actually in very good shape on their expenditures versus income versus the budget area. From one year to the next, several of them are actually under budget this year compared to 2021. We have a few of them that are slated to be much larger. But the two areas that were actually, we had 4 areas that were out of budget this last year. 2 of them were, again, a little bit out of budget. When we look at those, focus specifically on the facilities area, I gave you a reason for that of why they did this, why they were out. We have to have air conditioning. So that was a decision that was made knowing we were going to have to go out of budget. It's not on them. It's not on the facilities team on that. That was out of the entire eldership finance team. We decided, yes, we need to do this. We have to get these things replaced. So with the funds on hand, we were able to pay those off. The next area, there was a second area that was over budget, was the special offering payments. That particular fund is strictly funds that are coming in from each of you and other members of the congregation that was given toward the staff as Christmas offerings. We never have a budget set aside for that because we never know how much money is coming in. So obviously, as more funds are coming in, we expense those exact same amount of funds back out to the staff for their offering or their gifts. So it's a no-brainer. We're always going to be out of budget for that. So that particular area is something we don't even be concerned about because those are actual gifts to them. Okay, moving on. Hopefully, there we go. This next slide is a complete breakdown of the entire year as compared to the 2 previous years by each fund that we have set aside. We have 4 main funds that are remaining at this point in time. This is everything. It's everything, including income coming in as coming in from families who are paying for their children's events, for the youth events, coming in as special offerings, coming in as special projects, coming in from our savings account, and again from our FCC checking. As we're looking into this, you see that the FCC checking has still got a very hefty balance of $232,274. That is, it's about $22,000, $23,000 ahead of where we were the previous year. When you look at the FCC savings, we gained another $6,800 in that. So our balance there is a little over $31,000. Again, most of that account will be utilized for the savings or for the building maintenance and repair and changes that we have planned for this coming year. The restricted gift savings is an isolated account. That account is strictly to pay for the youth minister, for salaries, benefits, things of this nature. When that is depleted, the rest of those, that unit will be emptied, and then all the salary will be coming from our general checking. Our special projects fund, again, showing $55,000. That is a very good start to what we're going to be needing for all the repairs and changes that we're going to be making over here. So end result, when you look at our total cash assets at $346,000, we're over, at that point in time, over $20,000 more than we were from last year, which is a really good trend compared to where we, how things have gone. Okay, This is the area that I mentioned before. I wanted to give you some information on trends. Looking at the funds coming in, now this is general offering only. These are offerings that are coming into the congregation or from the congregation. It was offerings coming in from our building offering and also the special project offering. If you look at that, look at the bottom line in each of those, you see the balance of that is $543,217, and that was in 2019. You see that trend going from 20 and 21. I'm going to show you a little bit different slide now. This is that same information with a little bit of different items added in here. As you're looking at this, you'll see that these numbers continually to trend down. What I also have added in here is the envelope giving units, as you see here. Envelope giving units come from the majority of the congregation that give. If they give by an envelope or they give just simply by a check, by throwing a check in, they're assigned a envelope number. That number has been tracked for years because at the end of each year you get a letter back to you telling you how much as offerings that you have given to the church. This is the concerning thing that I'm mentioning. As you look at this and you see that there is constant decrease coming in from our offerings from year to year, you see that there's a $123,000 drop going from 2019 to 2021. The number of giving units has also declined. From 2019 to 2020, we lost 19 giving unit families. When we go from 20 to 21, we've lost an additional 17. Now, I can truly understand when we're looking at going from 2019 to 2020, we had the church shut down. We were not having all of the church services here. We actually had many of the services that were streamed online. But what surprised me is we come into 2021, those still, so we can go back here, the numbers declined and we had no shutdowns. This is something we need to change, we need to work on. Each of us need to be able to reach out to all those family members who are no longer coming. It's up to all of us. It's not just the leadership's responsibility. Each of us as members of the congregation need to reach out to all of those families that if they're still in the area, obviously if they've moved, that's another situation. But if they're here, we need to reach out to them. Not because of the finances, but it tells us that many people are not coming anymore. COVID is here. It's been here for 2 years. It's affected a lot of families, no doubt. But we still need to reach out to them in any way we can to try to get many of those families back with us. It's a challenge for each of us to do that. So I challenge each of you to try to do that. Reach out to other families that you know are no longer here. Try to get them coming back. Trends in giving units of giving is just one part of this. We need to get families back in the church as much as possible. Okay? So with that, I'll open that up for some questions. I do have the final slide here that as you look, there's many ways that you can give is from the weekly offerings that we get from everyone. They can give in our normal offering areas as you put those in the church place. We have a secure mailbox next to the church office, obviously, that you can put your donations in. And actually, that has increased a little bit, which is good because people, if they have a fear of coming into the church because of COVID, they can just drop those off there. We also have the automatic transfer, which are called our EFTs. We can simply give you a piece of paper you can fill out, and we can have those funds taken from your bank account to the church every week, every month, however you decide to do it. We have a third-party checks. So we have some families are using that today. They actually have a check set up in their system to automatically send to us on a weekly basis. And then we have the Easy Tie system, which is our online system that people have utilized. So if you have any questions, feel free. You can ask the questions now on the finances. And we also encourage you to get in contact with Mike McCubbin or also Marla Durst. They can give you information as well. So any